Hey guitar champion, Justin Hombach here, back from my practice cave, and welcome to the second episode of How to Write Solos Like Dime. When I was a teen, like around 13, 14 or 15 years old, I read in the guitar magazine, in the German guitar magazine, an interview of Zakk Wylde where he was talking about dime and how fascinated he was from the implying of jazz elements into dime's playing. At this time, I was a huge Pantera fan. And I was grown up in a jazz family. My father was listening to a lot of jazz and he played a lot of saxophone. And at that time I was asking myself, huh? He really does imply jazz elements into his sounds? Where? How? What? When? I didn't understand it back in the day. But nowadays, while I've studied jazz guitar and I'm analyzing a lot of the Pantera stuff right now, I realized what Zakk was meaning back in the day, or I kind of realized it. Today I want to call about something that Dime is using really subtle into his kind of style, into his playing, but it's called the Chromatic Approach. And it's a certain approach, a certain jazzy kind of approach to play to a target note or a root note. This is what we're going to take a look like today. If you want, again, the tabs, the free tabs for the examples I'm doing in this video, then you can download them in the description box. There's a link where you can download them. And yeah, without further ado, let's start with the lesson and see you there. Cheers! Okay, one of the most important things in chromatical approaches is the target note. For example, let's say we have a chord like E minor again, like in the last lesson. Let's say we are in E minor and we have the chord E minor again. Then there are three notes which are perfect as a target note. The notes from the chord, from the arpeggiated chord of E minor. So we have E, the root, G, the minor third, which makes the chord minor, and B, which is the fifth. Those three notes are perfect for as a target note. For example, E we have here, 7th string on the A string, or on the 9th fret, 7th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the G string, or 12th fret on the E string, on the high E string. The G, the third, is 10th fret on the A string, for example, 12th fret on the G string, 8th fret on the B string, and the B, the fifth, is on the 9th fret of the D string or the 7th fret of the high E string. So those three notes are, doesn't matter if we are playing it here in the 7th position, you can also take those notes in the 12th position. And because what is perfect for a target note? Well, a target note must be, I would say, should have a really nice sound to it. When we're going to take some option notes like the 9th or the 11th or the 13th or the 7th, the color has a bit more tension. It doesn't resolve that much or that good like to the root, the 3rd or the 5th. So these notes are pretty neutral with an interesting color note, with a really downside color note. It's not too tension, it doesn't have too much tension. It's a beautiful color note, but it stays and fits really perfect to the chord which lies underneath. Which is obviously because the chord consists out of the notes, the root, the 3rd and the 5th. So now, how can Dime and ourselves, how can we play with those targets notes, with the chromatical approach? Well, there are a ton of ways how we can do it, but I'm going to focus more on 2 or 3 ways which Dime is especially using in his solos. One way is we are taking, let's say for example we are taking the minor third from the chord, from E, playing on the 8th frets on the B string, and then we are playing 1 scale degree up, so it's the 4th in E, the A on the 10th fret on the B string. So we are taking one note which is 1 degree higher in the scale, and then we are going from our root note also 1 and 2 chromatical steps down. So we have this kind of movement. Scale degree, and then we're going chromatically with 2 notes starting on the 6th fret, 7th fret into the 8th fret. We have the scale note here on the first note of the line to start the line with the option note, not with the outside note, not with the note with too much tension in it. So the sound is a bit more neutral. Then we have a little bit of tension because we have two notes, or especially one note, which is outside the 6th fret. We don't have the F in our E minor scale, we have the F sharp. But these two notes, the F and the F sharp, aren't belong to any kind of scale thinking. They are only there, the only purpose they have is to move to the target note, to lead us to the target note. We don't see those two notes as a scale note or as a note which consists of the scale, so we could play a melody and we are resolving into one of those notes. No. Those two notes work just simply as a leading note. And it maybe could sound like this over an E minor chord. Of course, you can also go full chromatically, and let's say, for example, we don't have the 10th fret on the B string as our starting note from this line, but we have the 9th fret, which isn't a scale note from the E minor scale, because this would be the major third, and we don't have a major third in the minor scale, we only have a minor third. So we have a lot more of tension. This first note is a lot of tension over an E minor chord. But we don't see this note as a scale note, we see this as a approach note. So we only take advantage of this note by resolving into our target note, taking tension and resolving it into the target note. Okay, another example would be, for example, let's take the E, our root note, as the target note. And let's say we are moving into this root note from four half steps below. So we're starting on the 6th fret on the G string and resolving into the 9th fret on the G string, our root note. Let's check out another method. Another method would be to take more approach notes, more chromatical notes above our root note. The last two examples, we have more approach notes underneath the root note or the resolving note, but now, for example, we are taking more approach chromatical notes above our resolving note. For example, let's take again the root. And let's say we are playing something like this line. Here we are starting on the minor third and we're playing chromatic to the root, and then we are going to the 7th and we are approaching to the root back again from the 7th to the major 7th, tension note, resolving into the root. So we have two approaches in one line. One above the note, this one, and one underneath. And we are combining those. This method is using dime, for example, in the Cemetery Gates solo. Here we are in F sharp minor, and he's playing something like, or from the fingering that we have done before. Okay, let's take a final approach so you can see that there are many ways how you can use this kind of method and how you can be creative with this kind of method, because it's simple math. You can simply go there and say, for example, okay, we are taking two notes above, then one note below, and then resolving into our root note. Or there are a lot of examples how we can use it. There are books about this kind of playing style, especially in the jazz kind of scene, because this is the method that a lot of swing players, a lot of jazz players are using to create a certain sound, and Dime is using this as well. Okay, a last example, let's say we are taking 2 notes above, 2 notes below. It's easy like this, and we are resolving into the, let's say, into the fifths of the chord. For example, on the 12th fret of the B string, there we have an E minor or a B, the fifths, and let's say we're playing. Yes, this sounds good. Yes, this sounds good. Nice! Awesome! Sounding great! I've done nothing special. I took 2 notes chromatically above our resolving note and 2 notes chromatically down our resolving notes. So we have 14th fret on the B string, 13th fret on the B string, and then you can play 10th fret on the B string, 11 frets on the B string, resolving to 12th fret, or you can play, instead of the 11th fret on the B string, you can play 14th fret on the G string, 15th fret on the G string, and then resolving into the 12th fret of the B string. And combined with that special dime back groove, you have an awesome lick that you can use for your dime vocabulary. There, the second approach with the slide in it. The third approach. So you see, you can sound really awesome. Oop, there goes my plectrum. So you see, there you can be really awesome with this kind of method, with this kind of approach. Use this approach, try to be creative with this approach. There are a lot of ways how you can involve it into your own playing, even if it sounds a little bit jazzy in the beginning, but try to play with it. You can create a lot of lines, a lot of interesting lines for your playing if you want to go a little bit outside of this normally pentatonic, scalish kind of sound. Alright, so much for this lesson. Hope I'm going to see you in the next lesson again. Cheers and stay progress. Bye.